Yeah. You ever wonder how to not lose yourself in relationship? Well, this is the show to watch.
Good morning, Giants. Welcome back to Wake Up with Giants TV. This is the relationship series of Wake Up with Giants TV with myself and my beautiful guest and partner, Andrea Bangerter. And then today we've got a great guest. So we'll go into that in just a minute. But I do have a little bit of housekeeping that we'll do. Housekeeping? I think that's what we said at the beginning. If you go to my12journeys.com, we have finally built out the website for Sum Gigante. It's our 12 Journeys program. It's a 6-week program that will help elevate you to your most giant self. It's an incredible deal. Go in and read it for you. Make sure you're reading it from your inside out, from your small self to your giant self, and speak these words to you, because this is a new operating system that's going to help you live the life that you've always dreamed of. And this isn't a quick fix program. This is really redesigning you from the inside out, rewriting the narratives, handling the emotions. That's what we do in this program here, even in the relationship series, is we are learning ourselves how to do these things for us, especially inside of a relationship, which is really cool. And so we have a great guest today. I'll go ahead and introduce her, and then we'll get right into it. Andy, did you have any announcements on your side? Anything you want to share before we jump in?
No announcements.
No. Okay. Nothing yet. We'll get there. So joining us today is a powerhouse in the world of emotional resilience and family healing, Candace Newton Chaput. She's the founder of Unlocking Secrets for Women and the visionary behind the Love Ya Mom project, which is changing the way mothers and daughters connect. As executive director of Ambassadors of Compassion Canada, she's also transforming youth and families through powerful, life-changing programs. And here's something amazing. Candace's work has already impacted over 100,000 youth across North America, with events as big as 6,000 student kickoff at SoFi Stadium. We're thrilled to have her here to share how her journey can help you build a more empowered, loving relationship. So please help us welcome Candace Newton Chaput. Good to have you here.
Thanks, guys.
It looks like I lost my camera there.
Yeah, well, you are a giant. I just want to give some clarity. So I'm the executive director of Ambassadors of Compassion Canada, for which I'm deeply humbled. The 100,000 plus kids have been under the leadership of the American leadership and president and founder, Eric Hanna. And we're coming back to Canada with it. So, that will eventually maybe be like thousands of thousands, but it is, I'm privileged to be part of a team of amazing people that love kids. And so, just a little.
Very cool. Yeah. Good way to clean it up. So we're going to talk about relationship today. And we'll use the 12 Journeys as a framework, and we'll probably get way off course, and it's okay. It doesn't have to go a certain direction. But when it comes to relationship, and Andy, maybe you can help me with this as far as guiding the direction of the conversation, is we each come into relationship with old patterns, old identities, characteristics, values, protectors. I say values, quote unquote, because we perceive them as values, and often there are protectors. And I want to just kind of maybe use your life as part of the example, but also your understanding about how those identities, when they come together in relationship, what can happen there, for the positive and the negative. What can happen when those old systems or creations come together and start working with each other? Does that make sense? And however you want to go from there. Yep.
Andy or me?
You.
Oh, you want me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And Andy, if you have clarifying on that, anything you want to add to that?
Are we good? Shall I? Oh,
yeah.
So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here I'm Pacific Standard Time. You guys are Mountain Time. So I had to get up just a tad earlier than you guys, but I'm not complaining. But I just wanted to tell you that for me, I had to understand me. So I'm not a professional counselor. I'm not registered. My disclaimer is everything that I share with you has been worked in the trenches. And I'm still a work in progress, because you don't split from yourself while you're on this earth. You still have interactions with people, and you never know what's going to show up. So, in the developmental years, from the piles of counseling that I have put myself through, because when you're 12 and you leave home, you don't know how to be an adult. Like, you don't know how to raise yourself. So, I have lots of layers. I see myself like an onion, and then peeling back, peeling back, peeling back with every new experience in my life. I'm like, oh, I need something. But this is sort of the foundation of that belief of years of experiencing myself, really trying to be subjective and look, why am I doing this? What's happening inside of me? And the years of counseling and amazing authors and books and on and on. This is what I've come to. We innately have value and worth just because we breathe. And if someone wants to argue with that, it's like, oh, I don't have worth. I said, yeah, what happens if someone tries to put their hands on your throat and take your life away? You fight. You fight because you have intrinsic worth, and you just don't even know it. But there's that fight to be valuable. And then out of that natural, your babies cry. They want to be fed. They want to live. They have intrinsic worth that is absolute. And then they don't know or have the emotional capacity or the emotional intelligence. They're in survival mode. They're in really reptilian brain, because we do have that reptilian brain for food, life, breath. But they then, because they have that human component, divinely created and setting aside from animals, they have choice and free will and all of those things, but they don't yet know how to develop that. So for me, in understanding myself, I'm like, I use the analogy of a salmon. Salmon will swim along the river. And how does the salmon get caught on the fisherman's line? Because he has a natural desire to eat. And when he sees that sparkly thing, it looks like a fish, and he swallows it and he's hooked. So our needs aren't wrong. It's how we get them met. And we don't often know how to get those met. And we are so dependent on the adults around us as babies. That's our natural first step is mommy, meet my need, daddy, meet my need. Like, it's normal. And so, but a child doesn't have that perspective of an adult. So I use the analogy of height. If I'm only 3 feet high, I can only see 3 feet high. If I'm 10 feet high, I can see 10 feet. I can have a broader perspective. So as I grow emotionally, I should be able to see bigger, unless my interpretations get interrupted. So when a child looks, you guys know this, your parents, when your babies are tiny and they smile at you, if you don't smile back, that baby's like, what's happening? They go into distress. And so when a child is little and mom and dad are having their issues or whatever their circumstances are, that child is looking. And when they see mama mad or they see something, they tell themselves a story to make sense of that. So a certain facial expression can trigger you, like whatever the story is you've told yourself. In relationships, that, and I love how I've just been so proud of you, by the way, Nick, watching you just grab that understanding. Like, you are like the best student in the whole world. I've never seen anyone learn like you, but you get it. Relationship. No, but I mean it. I mean it. Relationships are mirrors. They reflect back what's happening. So when I'm in it, and believe me, I'm the queen of, I was a street kid, so I'm a fighter. So you want to put me, you want to challenge me, man, I'll come after you. That's my way. But that was a survival technique. It doesn't work so much in relationships. Something about putting your, wanting to kill your partner is not exactly a great idea. It doesn't, make for like warm and fuzzies. But I'm just being exaggerating and trying to kill my partner. I'm great friends with my ex-husband, by the way, just so you know. I don't kill people. But
well, that's good.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, disclaimer.
Probably very valuable.
But I have probably killed a lot of people with my mouth, because I fought with my mouth.
Or with the look.
Yeah, look and mouth. Yeah, which is very weak, actually. It's a very weak tool. It's a
Mm.
very low level, dirty fighting tool because it reflects that I don't have a true skill set and I don't truly understand what's happening. So I dirty fight. Well, I don't think I dirty fight as much anymore, but I used to dirty fight because that's the way it is. It's survival. And so I'm more than an animal. I have intelligence, I have choice, I have value and worth. So when I'm in my reptilian reactive brain, I'm lost and stuck in a story. And it's my coping mechanism I've created, whatever that is, to give myself comfort at the time. Because as babies or little children, I have intrinsic worth. My worth is being impacted at this moment. I don't feel like parents are going to be with me or something's going to happen. I'm not going to be safe. So I just, as a human with intrinsic worth, I develop whatever qualities I need to survive. So I call it uh, microphones in the lavender plants. So here's a story. A relative, I won't say who in case they're listening, a relative was having some difficulty. Um, they were living in a house with us and they were having some difficulty with imaginations. And their imaginations were so real that they actually thought there was microphones in the lavender plants outside their window. Now, and one day, how did I know that? One day I came out to go back my car out of the driveway, and this is an adult, and my lavender plants were all around my car. And I was like, what? Who would do such a wappy thing? And they were in pots. So I had to move them all back. And then it happened again the next day when I was going out. And I was like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden, as I was putting them back, the relative came flying out from the basement suite where they were living, flew out and said, put those back. And I said, why? Because you've got microphones in there. So now we're dealing with a whole nother level of psychosis here. But the belief that there was a microphones in those lavender plants was dictating and controlling and unable to be reasoned with. Now that's a whole different level of mental illness and unawareness, and I have great compassion for that. But it really gave me some takeaways to like, what am I perceiving is happening? What do I think is happening right now? And when Jim and I got married, so it's our second marriage, and both of us had first marriages that did not work out for various reasons. Good people, they were good people, just whatever the circumstances were. So no bashing anybody here. But we're on our second marriage. And I can tell you right now, whatever you didn't fix in your first shows up in your second because you can't get away from you. So people think, oh, I'm just going to change partners. I'm just going to get out of this relationship and I'll find another one and everything's going to be great. The only problem is the common denominator is you. And every time you show up, you bring you with you and you bring whatever you're feeling, whatever your interpretations are. And it might be fine because maybe that person you're partnering with doesn't have some of the same attributes that your previous person did. But as soon as something in you that's unfinished is triggered, you go right into the pattern again. So that's why it's so important to learn and understand that just because I feel it, I need to recognize the feelings and I need to give them some respect and kindness to myself. But I can't believe everything I feel. I've got to question it. And I don't question it with self-doubt. I question it with curiosity. What is this rising up in me? Because it's in me. It's not in them. It's in me. So my obligation and part of my emotional maturity, and I'm a work in progress. I'll probably be 100 and still looking for emotional maturity. And so nobody should feel bad if they're not there because everybody's evolving, right? But that is my responsibility as an adult. If I'm going to take charge as an adult, I have to own what is mine. And I use the analogy of, I think I did this on the last show, but I can't remember. Who knows? I used to say this to my adult female classes that I was teaching, ages 18 to 60. Who knows when you have to pee? I'd say that to them and they're like, well, my husband knows because I'm jumping around. I said, no. Who felt it first? You did. Whoever feels it first, that's your responsibility. And that's your privilege and opportunity to be able to free yourself by asking me, what's happening, Candace? When I started Unlocking Secrets for Women in 2004, one of my statements was fear nothing but to betray yourself. For if you lose your best friend, who will watch over you? I need to be my own best friend. I'm the first human I've ever met. Once I'm on my own, that's my responsibility. Up until a certain age, our parents are there for us, but they're not adequate. They don't know what we're feeling inside. And as we begin to take charge of our lives little bit by little bit, that becomes our ownership. And then I'm just going to end this little piece with this. I have a family member. Again, I'm going to be really careful. And the family member was telling me that they were challenged with some of the things that they experienced in their childhood, where they just felt like their parents kind of didn't show up the way they should. And I said, oh, no, 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 honey, that's a rite of passage. Because if your parents had it all, you would be fully dependent on them all the time. You would never step back and become your own. And I said, if your parents were born blind, literally born blind, no eyes, couldn't see, would you be angry with them because you never saw a sunset? No. You have to understand that we must take that rite of passage from youth into adulthood. The struggles, oh, my parents didn't give me what they need. No, because you have to find that muscle tone for yourself. Babies, you can't move their legs to get them to walk. And in my new course that I'm doing, I'm not ready to launch it yet, but it's called Managing Me. And what it is, it's all about helping myself understand my responsibility and my own growth. It's so empowering and it's so exciting because I don't need anybody else to do that except to give feedback. Hey, what do you think? Because, I can't see my back. There's blind spots when we're driving. I'm not an owl. I don't have a 360 nap, but I do need feedback. Not ashamed to go to a doctor. Doctors go to doctors, dentists go to dentists. I'm okay with asking for help, but the sole initiative responsibility is mine. And
Okay,
so,
I want to tie this into a dialogue here so that we can really explore this together.
yeah, I want to just say this story.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, and then let's jump in and
And then I just want to lay that platform and just leave it. So one of the things I saw was so fascinating is I was fascinated by how animals are born, and particularly horses. I love horses. I'm not a great horsewoman, but I love them. You watch this mother stallion, or not stallion, mare, giving birth to her foal. That foal is on the ground. She cannot pick that foal up. That foal is newborn. That foal must push and falls and push, fall and push. They have to stand on their own within hours of birth. And then sometimes they might need help from a human if there's something wrong. But it's fascinating to me how that mother will stand and look at that baby, cannot help it, has to just stand in the presence of that baby for that baby to grasp its own strength. So I just want to end on that, but that's the core of Managing Me and learning about me. So I just wanted to just give you that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think this will lay the foundation here. Because what I'm hearing, let me just reflect back. So there's a lot packed in there. So the packing in of when you're a child, you're learning from others and you're dependent on others to learn your development. I mean, really, we come into this world pretty helpless.
Yes.
And so we have to adapt and adopt what's around us. And so we think that's the way the world operates. And then as we go into relationships, if we haven't managed that or reprogrammed it, then that gets carried into relationships. And so that's who we think we are inside of a relationship. So when something happens, we get triggered by that thing. It's that old programming coming against the new programming. And so I'm going to share a little example here. This happened recently for Andy and I. Is I had viewpoints of our relationship that were old, and she has a way of being. I have a way of being. Neither of us wants to lose us inside of that. And so I'd love to play with this idea of not losing us. So she comes in with her way of being. I come in with mine. I see hers. I'm like, that conflicts with mine. I think I'm coming from my value systems, which it is my identity and core, but it's a little misaligned, right? And Andy, maybe you have a view on that. Like you got the other end of that, is you experienced my projection of my insecurities on you over what was undealt with over here, but I thought it was coming from values, you know?
Yeah.
Can you speak to how you experienced that?
I saw what was happening, but who am I to go, oh, well, your idea is messed up. You're projecting onto me, or what you feel is not real, because what you are feeling is real for you. So all I have control over is how I deal with it. So if you're choosing to, I have learned over the years not to own others' problems, you know, and it's not my responsibility to own what you're feeling at the time. I could acknowledge it and allow you to feel it, but I'm not going to own it. I've like spent too many years going, okay, it's my problem. It's my problem then, even though I know it's not my problem. But just to keep the peace, you take the problem and you go, okay, here's another thing, and here's another thing. And so I've learned that not to own others' problems, and not to tell you what you're thinking is crazy either, because it is your reality. So on my end, it was just pretty much, I knew where I was personally. I knew that what you were experiencing was your reality, but I didn't think it was right. But I wasn't going to tell you any different. I wasn't going to argue with you.
That's very cool. Your reality, it is like, I really like that it's his reality, and you didn't own his reality. It's like you stood and witnessed it and you saw it, but it was you actually gave Nick the freedom to make that choice about whether or not he wanted to take a look at that and make a different pathway or process about what he thought he was perceiving. And Nick, being the guy that he is, which is probably why you love him, he's got such a learner's heart. He won't stay in the muck. He might for a while, but he'll fight his way out. And that's a quality, Nick, that you have that was probably developed in you during what you thought were your neglectful adversarial years. They were the muscle. I wanted to say to you, when you were sharing about our childhood stuff, we have to remember that at our core, all of us are seeking safety. That's what we're looking for. Even as babies need to feel safe. They need to feel safe. Am I going to get fed? I'm going to get my needs met. That's what we're doing in relationship. We're seeking safety. But as adults, we get to give that safety to ourselves. And what you just said, Andy, is I witnessed he was having a belief, whatever it was. I'm safe. I know what's true. I'm okay. I might be disappointed with how Nick might be handling that. That might impact me a little bit, but holding on to myself and what I know is true without judging, letting you have your experience, is what I call letting go of the rope. I will not get into a tug of war with another human being over what they believe, because it's theirs and it's their work. So if someone's going to start pulling on it, people don't realize they get into a fight with me, I drop the rope. I drop the rope. That is not rejection. It's like you said, you don't take on problems that are not yours.
Yeah. So looking at that, right? I had some time to reflect. So I created an application because I can't see my blind spots.
Who
And
can?
so, yeah, they seem so real. And when I'm speaking them and feeling them, it's like, holy crap, this is actually happening right now in my world. And so I created a GPT for AI to help me to see my blind spots. I called it the mirror. And so I started reflecting in the mirror. This is what I experienced. It's like, oh, that's your adaptive child. That's your protector that showed up. That's your wounded self that showed up. Oh, now you're operating from your wise self, because I couldn't see it. Yeah. So I could go back to that from the viewpoint I had with Andy and be fully justified 100% in my view. I could grab 10 people that I could tell the experience to, and they would say, I would have done the same thing. Right. And I did have people, agree with me. And that's that triangulation that we talk about. It's like, okay, I got my cohorts, you got yours. Let's come together. I'm going to prove myself right. That's the tug of war.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to look at this as what's going on in me. Is it useful? Is it wise self? Is it healthy? And so I really started doing my work around it. And Andy, thank God I've got Andy in my life who's so patient with me around that. She gave me room to do that. And we came back together around that.
So happy to see that.
Yeah. But it's,
this is love. You got this.
yeah, but I got to do my work.
You did.
But I don't have to carry, and this is something I learned in childhood, is I have to carry the full emotional responsibility of my relationships. And that is just not true. Mm-hmm. I get to do my portion. She gets to do her portion.
Yeah.
And so, and if one of us is carrying, yeah.
That's you two. This goal, the narrowest part of a triangle, is the two of you headed in the same direction. And that means being fully responsible for self. And if you're doing that, there's no gap. If you're trying to reach each other, it's the widest part of the triangle. And it actually causes space. If this is Andy and this is Nick, and you're trying to do this, look how big that gap is.
We're bringing in our little armies to justify how we're feeling, and they're all in the bottom points, and you're attacking. You're never going to get to
the worst people are the ones that agree with you when things are a mess. Don't trust them. They don't really have your back. They got their own, because that happened to me when I was right. Yeah. So I love Nick. I love your course, though. I'm so proud of you for doing that. That's the thing that I wish more people would want to have in their life, is to have that true identity with self, not selfishness, but self-care, because we love others the way we love ourselves. And we've got to learn how to love ourselves healthy, without condemnation, without, Nick, you got some stuff. It's okay, Nick. And Andy modeling that love for him to say, this is your freedom and I'm not touching it. This is your free will. It's sacred. Even if you're wrong, that's all right. It's sacred. We're not touching it. So I love what you did, Nick. It speaks volumes to the man you are and why you should be a leader in this, because leaders aren't perfect. Leaders model the learning. Leaders lead from their failures. And I just love this mirror. Tell me more about this mirror AI. I was so proud of you. I'm watching you doing your videos. Posting it everywhere.
it sees through the illusion that we carry. So I sat with a couple the other day and we did a session with it. And they both spoke into the app, their point of view. And it was scary. For the one, she was very scared to be this open about what she was experiencing, because we're not taught to be okay with our point of view. You want to hide it, mask it, pretend it's not there.
Transparency is scary.
Yeah, she's shared, and then he shared his point of view, and it was very vulnerable for both of them. And I don't share anything outside of that, just the generalities. But they spoke into the app, and then I got to sit with them as the app spoke to them, and then I got to fill in through the 12 journeys, right? So the app just very clearly showed her where she was coming from and showed him where he was coming from. And together as a couple, they were able to talk about it openly. And the whole rest of that day was conversation about what they learned in that session. Wow. So it's the power of technology to help us see our blind spots, because I have them. That experience with Andy, it's like, is that really a value speaking, or is that a protector masking itself as a value? Mm-hmm. And my goal is to not control her. I don't want to control her. And that's fear. Fear is coming from control, or control is coming from fear. So I wanted to make sure, how can I hold space for her and still honor this guy over here, without taking away what she needs.
And I love what you just said about, I don't want to control her, because from my perspective, controlling someone is because I can't control me. I'm going to try to control the external influences around me. I have no control over me inside. So I'm just going to regulate out there. You guys are going to do this. And we have like this much ability to do that with anyone.
We have 100% ability to control right here.
Mm.
Exactly. So this whole illusion of fear and controlling others is, and you know, and growing up, I grew up in domestic violence, and my mom was beaten, and us kids were all beaten. And people are like, "Oh, you know, bad person." I'm like, no, he had no control over his inside, and
Mm.
in his weakness, not excusing his behavior, but in his weakness, he's trying to control out there because he doesn't understand or have control inside. And what are we teaching little children as they're growing up? How to manage you, self control, how to help yourself right now. And that's really the essence. So I just, and I, what I really love what you just said, Nick, whoever this couple is, bravo to you if you're listening. The fact that they had a desire to even want that, and
Mm.
that just
Yeah.
tells me there's so many people out there that are hurting. They want to find the right medicine, they want to fight the right doctor, sort of thing. And that's why what you and Andy are doing by exposing your relationship, being transparent about it, tells the rest of the world we're all human. You're not unique. This
Mm.
is what we all fight for because we're all created with value and we all want to feel safe. And we're going to open our relationship to show you, I mean, with respect, with boundaries, but to show you. Yeah. And I love what you guys are doing. I love this. So tell me more about your 12 journeys in the mirror and how it all ties in together. I'm so
Well,
curious.
yeah, I'd love to hear Andy's point of view of that. Like, how do you see that in what we just experienced? And part of that too is, you know, the not losing yourself component that we want to pull in. But Andy, how do you experience what I've been doing with the work?
It's one of the many things I love about you. I don't think many people stop. They do. They look outside and go, well, the grass is greener. I'm going to go over there. It's going to be better. But they are the common denominator in everything. And what I love is you come into it and I remember from the beginning you're like, you're not so and so, you're not so and so, you're not this person in my past, that person in past, you're Andrea. Everything from this point on is all new, and but I understand these protective factors kind of surface with different things and everything. I mean, just life happens and you see different things, but I appreciate our conversations. I appreciate your brain. I love your brain and I want to lick it all the time. But then at the same time,
That sounds like Hannibal Lecter. He was just eating people's brains.
it's a beautiful brain. But and I'm grateful that he doesn't use it as a weapon. Because I've been on that too.
Yeah.
Where they use it against you. And so, but what he does is he creates, he's a creator. And I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people just don't stop and go. It's easier to point the finger and they point at everyone else, but they just don't look at the three fingers that are pointing back at them, and, and on my end, it's my work to go, okay, what is driving me to do what I do? And also how am I going to respond to how he's being? Like, I know I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to own it, but I need to allow it. But then here we are working on it and things will still surface up. But, on my end, it's my job to go, you know what? I'm not going to label him as, it's never going to change. I've experienced this. It's never going to change. It just gets worse. I need to work on going, you know what? Hopefully it does, but at the same time, I'm going to give him the space for that growth because I do see that he's working on it, and every experience is different. But as long as I feel like, okay, I need to do my part and be more aware of things or whatever it is, but try not to become a people pleaser and go, okay, I'm going to change it and change it and change it and change it on my end to make him happy. And before I know it, I'm down the road and who's Andy? I've lost it all to make him happy. So I'm working on, like allowing the space, but not changing things so much that I'm losing my true self in the process. Does that make sense?
It does. It sounds like you're building internal boundaries. Those internal boundaries are refusing to betray yourself without asking another to take on you. You're saying, this is me. Whatever your eye color is, you can't change it. That is authentically you. And that being authentically you doesn't minus someone else. And I was just I wrote a couple things down because I thought it was kind of interesting in listening to you. So I hope I don't offend anybody. I attribute this to myself. When I'm reactive, or I'm demonstrating a low level of intelligence, I'm operating in my reptilian brain. My puppy dogs, my kitties, they can't make these intellectual choices. That's reptilian. And they have affection, but they can't sit and say, I'm going to make a new decision about who I am and create something. So we have that separation of that ability to be really intelligent and exercise that. And what you've done, you've really intelligently allowed Nick, by being you, to own his own will and his own desires about what it is that he wants. You can't make someone like something, but to have that freedom to say, if, I want to move forward with you, but I'm never going to betray myself to do that, because we met loving each other's uniqueness. How did we try to get along by diminishing each other? Doesn't even make sense. And I've done it, so I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about in betraying yourself to try to be a peacemaker. It's really betraying yourself so much, instead of stepping back and leaving room for growth by saying, I got to be honest. That doesn't work for me. I love you. That hasn't changed, but this doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. And I use that funny analogy. It's terrible. I use it in a more intimate setting, a different way, but I'll do it this way. Let's say you have an itchy knee, but you say to your partner, can you scratch my knee? But they scratch your shoulder. That's really nice, but it doesn't work. It's not meeting my need. And then you can't deny that your knee is itchy. Like, that's the truth about Andy. It's the truth about Nick. And so by being authentically you and standing in that space of being you, you actually do model for your partner how to stand in his own space by not giving up self and staying true. And it's hard. It's very hard. And so the fact that you found out whether Nick wanted to do his work or not, when you give someone free will and say, I love you, but I can't change your mind. I don't even want to change your mind. It's got to come from you. I'm not going to force you to go to the kitchen and eat when you're hungry. If you don't want to, I can't do anything about it. But I think a lot of us, we have such a low level of intelligence, emotional intelligence, because we don't understand that that's sort of the missing piece, is that emotional intelligence. And it's because we are so reactive. We're so reptilian. When someone's like being really super aggressive, you just look and just like, you are so operating at a level that is so beneath your value, because you have the power to choose and to learn and to become curious. Mm. And in fact, one of the most progressive and accelerated ways to grow is looking at a little child. They're curious. What's that? What's this? What's that? It's the power of growth, curiosity. And
pushing all the buttons.
Yeah. What does that look like?
Oh, what's that do?
What's this? There's magic in the air.
Yeah. But do you know that you can't steer your steering wheel in your vehicle left and right at the same time? Your antidote, the antidote for being stuck, the antidote for being judgmental is curiosity. And staying in curiosity. I don't know. Maybe I don't know everything. And like you said, Nick, you can't see your blind spots, but you're not supposed to, because we need each other. We'll say to but need each other in a healthy way. You need each other to say, hey, I'm doing my work, but I got a spot on my back I can't see. Try looking in the mirror. Can you look for me? Or going to the
gym. It looks fat.
Oh, the most dangerous question a woman ever asks a man.
Don't ask for that blind spot to be answered.
Yeah, no, do not answer that one.
The worst answer I heard on that, no, that's your body doing that.
Oh my God.
You know what Jim does? Jim does. He's so smart because his ex-wife, and he's got a couple of daughters, and he was so smart. He's like, he doesn't say that. He just says, I just think that just really brings out the best in you. Or he'll say, I like the black one because it really brings out the best in you. Like, yeah, he's smart. So
Great.
there's a
That's a
for you.
smart answer. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Nick.
I
So
like
that's
it.
that zone question. That's dangerous.
I want to pull in.
Don't ask that question.
Andy, you said something about the finger pointing out here, and the 3 fingers pointing back, and you can't put your thumb on it out here. You can't put your thumb on it. But when we look at the 12 journeys, you can put your thumb on the 3 areas that we focus on: the root, the shoot, and the fruit, right? Which the root is your inner work of your story. You're waking up to that story. You're accepting and acknowledging and navigating the intelligence of the emotions, the gratitude and the empowerment tools that rewrite that story. That's all your root. And then your growth, your shoot, which is the stepping into the unknown. This is a new relationship. This is an abundant relationship. We have everything available to us. It's up to us to create with it. So you have your vision and our surrender and nurture, self-care and relationship care. And then you have the legacy of who you want to be as far as the impact you want to make in the relationship. I think it's a killer analogy that I just heard in what you just said is you can't put your thumb out here. You can't put your thumb on it out here because it's not out there. You can put your thumb on
Control that.
where it is, which is in you, which is where it's pointing. You can put your thumb on this.
Nice.
And so that's what I've been doing in here is, okay, what is it in me that has conflict with what she's doing out there? So if I have a projection out there, it has to come back with, I'm the one with the projection. I'm the one with the insecurity around it. I'm the one with the old wounds. Anytime there's an insecurity, there's an old wound.
Or there's a piece of truth missing, because that could trigger something for you. And you could say, wait a minute, even till the end of time, this will always be something that is uncomfortable for me because
that's possible.
And that's what Andy is saying, I think, being her authentic self, even if there's a disagreement or a different perspective. Like, I think I've done perspective truth circles with you. Did I do that the last time?
Go ahead and hit it. Yeah.
Yeah. So perspective truth circles are really enlightening. So without getting into all the details, I was teaching a class, the students were not getting along, and I was desperate to find an answer. And I had this idea and it all came to my head, and I didn't even know what it was, but I was making them go through all the steps, and I was literally seeing the answer unfold as it was happening, which most educators do. And these are adult education. I have a diploma in adult education, not in kids. And so I just said, everybody get in a circle. There's like almost 30 students, ages 18 to 60. So they're all in a circle. And then I'm like, okay, everybody look straight across from each other, right over that person's head. Everyone take a turn. Describe what's over their head. So one person would look, say, I see a light switch. Someone would say, oh, I see a window. Went around the whole group. At the end, I said, all right, who's wrong? Take a minute to figure out who's wrong. They all turn around and look at me. Well, nobody's wrong. They're seeing this, they're seeing that, they're seeing this. So if no one's wrong, how are you guys going to get along? You got 30 different perspectives. How are you going to get along? Well, there is a common ground. And that common ground is when you come to me and you tell me you see a light switch and I see a bookshelf, I have to believe you. And believing you is my common ground. That makes us then work together. I believe you. So now how do we figure this out? All of a sudden, we have common ground. And it's not in losing self. It's, I believe you, Nick. I believe you feel this. I believe you see it. Andy, I believe you see it. I believe you. Now, where do we do the work? Because now we have a beautiful platform of common ground. And I also want to just say a couple of things that came up. Like, people are like monkeys. We're like monkeys. Like, you know how a monkey will not let go of this branch till they got this branch.
Yeah.
You know, we're just sort of reptilian like that. We're sort of like this. But many times over the years, because I've had to do it to me, is you'll see someone, it's like they're walking with a cane. They're limping. And you know they don't need to limp because you're actually seeing, because you've seen it yourself, they're limping. So I will go to someone and I will say, you don't have to change. I'll literally take their two hands and I'll say, and that's only if they've invited me to share, because I won't do it unless I've been invited. Well, that's not always true. Sometimes I'll offer my opinion and then step away because I wasn't invited. But and then I'll apologize. But then I won't mean it. It's just a disguise. Keep on going. But anyway,
Candace is like overly honest about her inner experience. She's like, but I would do this, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I love it.
I'll tell you when I'm lying. Yeah, I'm really good at it. But I will actually it's like I'm lying right now, figure it out. But anyways, I will hold someone's hand and say, your right hand has this cane, this truth, this belief you're holding on to. And I don't want to take that away from you because it's serving something. I don't want to leave you naked without your prop. That's a horrible thing to do to somebody, is take away that tool that's helping them get through something, even if it's broken. I'm not going to ask you to let this go, but I'm going to say, hey, do you want to hold my other hand while we're still holding this one? And what about this idea? What about this truth? And then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, I can hold on to that because that feels right for me. And I can let go of that dysfunction in that area because I'm not feeling unsafe or naked. And then I just want to add this analogy. Forcing someone to let go of their dysfunctional pieces is cruel because it's what's helping them. Even if it's not good, it's helping them right now. It doesn't mean we strip them of their tools and resources because we're going to break them. What we do instead, it's like this analogy. If you're in a small town and there's like no doctors for like 500 miles, and the only doctor that shows up in town is the biggest drunk ever, and he happens to be in town the weekend your appendix decides to blow, and somebody says to you, oh, don't go see him. He's the biggest drunk in town. That's all you got. You don't take hope away from people ever. And so, being from a family of medicine, we always say, don't bash the surgeon if it's the only one they've got, because they're either going to die or he's going to at least attempt to save their life while sipping on a martini. But the point is, somebody's going to help. So, yeah, we just don't want to take people
on the wound.
Yes. Oh, yes. Cleans it right out. As long as it does have olives or toothpicks. But, yeah, so we don't take those things away from people. We can say to them, hey, I see that this is really important to you. Like maybe Andy to Nick. You know what, Nick? I see these are things that you're holding on to. They're pretty tight. And I don't agree with them in your interpretation of me in those beliefs because I know me. But you're holding on to them tight. I'm not going to take them away. But let me know if you're curious enough to want to know what's happening or grow. And that's why you guys are successful, not because you have challenges or problems, but because you're rolling up your sleeves and each individually is staying true to you. You have to stay true to you to do this work. You cannot betray yourself or this will not work. You must hold on to your truth and then give each other the space to do that work. And I think that AI app that you created is actually allowing you to be able to do that work because you're not touching each other's authentic autonomy.
That's this whole journey. Is everything that's been created has come from me doing my own work. The 12 journeys, the giants and the smalls, the apps. It's like I'm doing this work and I am messy and I'm very vocal and vulnerable about it online. And I've had people say like, you share way too much, right?
But for their comfort zone. Yep.
For their comfort. Yep. But my goal is to look at me. I'm not requiring Andy to do the same work. I'm inviting. If she wants to use the app and do those things, that's up to her. But I'm not going to require her to do it. And so I think what I've been looking at with us is, okay, who's Andy? Who does she want to be? What does she want to hold on to? How can I honor that over here without losing myself? Because I don't want to lose myself either. You know,
it won't work. It won't work. You'll be toxic fighting with each other all the time.
Yeah. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think when in relationship, like I'm falling in love with you. You're the man I come in, and you loved me the way I was. But, and then it's like going in, and where a lot of people do, they lose themselves. They go in and then start becoming what this person wants and this person, and then it's like this messy kind of thing. And then it's not peaceful, and they kind of like 10 years down the road go, who the hell am I? What's going on in my life? And I think there's like this circle diagram. This is how I think of it, is like, you got you, I got me, and then we meet in the middle and we've got us. And, you have your parts that you come into the relationship, you have your things you love, I have my things to love. And then we create that middle section for things we both love and the relationship. But I just think if you expect each other to go into one big circle and together, you kind of lose that the authenticity and what you loved about each other, because now it's like, okay, now we're great.
I like that. I like that. I like the messy middle, like the us, right?
The unique you.
Yeah.
Who you are as a couple. I wrote something down. I love it. We all have sort of a belief system that has some ancient wisdom. And one of the things that I tap from is, you've lost your first love, because whatever helped you find each other is your authentic persons. You showed up that way. And when you lose your first love, that beautiful, respectful piece, how do you gain it back? Well, there's a favorite book. The ancient wisdom is to do the things you did at the first. You've lost your first love. Go back and do the things you did at first. And what did you do at first? You respected each other's autonomy. You do not have the right to tell someone else who they are ever, because you're interfering with divine authenticity and a divine unique DNA. Everybody's DNA is so different. You just don't have the right to do that. So what you do is, how do I honor this person for who they are while honoring me? It has to stay, the both of you, authentically. With Jim and I have challenges, I know it and I can see it like right away. It's because one of us isn't being authentic to ourselves, and it's mixing, and we're falling into some pattern of dysfunction where now we're trying to create unity by denying self. It's false unity. You can't do it. That's why you say, Andy, it doesn't bring you peace, because it's betraying, it's compromising. I don't believe in that. Oh, everybody compromises to have a relationship. Bull crap. I'll tell you right now, I will not compromise my values around the way we respect one another. I'm not compromising to gain respect. You can't be respectful. Something in you's got a problem. I don't have to judge you. I can just say, feeling this doesn't work for me. What's my authentic self saying something is not right? But I just want to add that when we talked about feelings, right, earlier, I have this funny analogy that we have feelings. And I love how you said that, Andy, like you honor those things in him. And I honor them in me. A lot of times I shut my feelings down. When you grow up in domestic violence and you're a street kid and you shut this down to survive. So my work is having to continue to listen and not betray me. Nothing to do with anybody else. But you got to take a 14-year-old boy, poor boys. I'm going to throw it up to the boys. 14-year-old boy who's having explosive hormones, right? Big feelings. Yeah. Big feelings. That's when humans become owls, a little nocturnal. But anyways, I threw that in there. But if there's a 14-year-old boy and he's got all these big feelings and he gets on the school bus and he can't help it, the hormones in his body are crazy and they're raging. He has zero control over them. He can't even look at a girl without something happening. It's the worst thing for a poor boy. And he might think, whoa, all of a sudden I noticed Susie has things sticking out of her chest. I didn't notice those before. And
he stung her twice.
In 2 different places. And here's this poor kid. And then he might get this really strong feeling like, I want to touch that. Just because he feels it doesn't make it real. And it has to be looked at because it's Yeah, that, and what is it? Curious. Why am I feeling like that?
Mm.
What's happening? And the second he learns, I can see Francis is going, "Hi, mom. Hi, Francis." I made him start calling me mom because my son and him are the same age. But anyway, so yeah, so the feelings are right. Sexual feelings. I want to be sexual. I was designed to be sexual. I was designed to give. I have all that. But where's the right fit for that?
Mm.
I'm not denying that I have those feelings, but how are they appropriately met so that
Mm.
I and my partner have dignity, or my fellow human has dignity? And so if a boy does reach out and grab you, like, okay, let's have a conversation here. Well, first of all, if the girl's smart, she just socked him right in the head and just knocked him back into place. Oh yeah, boom, that's not happening. But but it's about learning how to manage those feelings.
Mm.
Listen to them. Don't believe everything you feel. Get curious. What is happening? Write it down. And I believe with all my heart, there's so many hurting people, you guys. So many hurting people in relationship. Do we have to talk about the level of divorce going on? I'm divorced. Jim's divorced. We know, because I think we're missing these pieces.
Mm.
And what I love about AI, everybody gets mad at it, but AI is literally pulling all of the information from all over the available pieces of life and putting them somewhere where we can actually help our higher intelligence start to operate.
Yeah,
I just love
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I heard a video the other day. I thought it was amazing. The guy said, "You don't go find your soulmate." People get in this method of finding their soulmate. Oh, they happen to speak the same language, have the same cultural belief systems, live 2 blocks down the street from you. That's very convenient that you found your soulmate, right? Or find somebody that you can work with and create them as your soulmate. Create that together as soulmates. And I feel like Andy and I, we've done enough work individually that we can come together and start to grow in ways that feel like that soulmate that everybody talks about. And I think that's what you're hitting on here, but it's an individual thing. Like, she is Andy. She will always be Andy. And so if I can work with that, then, and I need to adjust things over here so that I can work with that. I'm not losing myself, but there might be some adjustments. Right.
And it's how you're picturing her, right? The perspective true circles. She is seeing what she's seeing. She's real. She's authentic. You're seeing what you're seeing. And then when you have that common ground of mutual respect and believing each other, which is how you started to treat each other from the beginning, because I've watched you guys from the beginning. I have remembered how you talked to each other from the very beginning, your posts on Facebook, and seeing the admiration and love and respect that you had for each other. When you get that, when you get familiar and you start crossing those lines and thinking you own another person, that is a problem. Free will is free will. And it's not to be touched. It's sacred. It's like messing with your DNA in a laboratory. You don't do it. You don't touch the free will of another, ever, ever, ever. You adjust yourself or you make your decisions about what's right for you, but you never touch the DNA of another.
Yeah, I like that. I learned a long time ago in a session with Brandon Craig on alignment. It's not that people are right or wrong. It's just alignment. Things work for you or they don't work for you. You can walk alongside each other or you can't. I've been divorced. We got to the point where we were completely misaligned.
Yeah.
And recognizing that. And that's hard. That's not easy. As I sit with, Andy and I look at, okay, yeah, we have some big differences between us, but I feel like we're aligned. We're moving in this, like you talk about the point of the triangle. It's okay. Yeah, we do have big differences, but we're moving in a similar direction, and Andy, I don't know how you feel on that, not to put you on the spot.
Oh, I mean, I feel like we are.
Just say yes, Andy, just say yes.
Yeah.
You're keeping your hands off my DNA now.
Yeah. Yeah, learning.
You're not messing with it. Well, you're trying. I mean, you're trying not to mess with it.
Yeah.
And for us as women, can I just throw in there? I don't know if you appreciate this, Andy, or it makes sense to you, but as women, a lot of times, because we're not anchored and secure in who we are, we get defensive if someone touches our stuff. We start to back up and start putting up some like walls. You may not be doing that, but I do that.
You do that? Guard blankets or anything?
I have boundaries.
But for me, when I'm telling someone else how to treat me, that is not a boundary. That's a control. Because if I know who I am, I'm not telling you how to treat me. I just like, hey, that doesn't work for me. I don't have to fight it. When I'm fighting it, I'm controlling the other person's controlling me. And it's like not going to work. It's just not going to work. I have to know, and I know it in me when I start saying, oh, I've got a boundary here and you can't do this. I'm like, whoa, Candace, that is the falsest boundary I've ever seen. You don't have a real boundary. You are actually trying to control them controlling you.
They're like, watch this, tap dancing all over that boundary. Like, oh yeah, how about this? How about this one?
Because a boundary is that I know my eyes are brown too. You can let them. That's where Mel Robbins' book is so good.
Yeah.
Let them. Yeah, I love that book.
But I think it takes, over time, experiences in life and everything where people go, oh my gosh, this or that, or they take their past histories and everything. But I think it takes time in life to go, this is who I am. I've lost that girl. I'm not going to lose her again, and experiences. So he may do, like have his triggers come up, and, then I have my experiences and things that, you go, that's similar, but you're not the same person. Right. I'm not saying you are that person, but I know it does kind of create this, I don't know, it's not even, it gives you bubble guts, you're just like, no.
Alarm bells, right? Alerts.
Those alerts, you're like, I know that what I'm doing isn't wrong. This is something I've always done. And then you're trying to take that from me. You don't take this piece of me.
And so can I just share, for me, no one can take it from you. It's absolutely impossible. If you perceive that they are, you're going to get into it. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying
it's when you give it up, you have to give it up.
That's right. It's you
have to give it up. So if they're trying to push it, and you go, okay, keep the peace, then you're losing that piece.
You're losing you. Yeah. And that's not right. So here's a curiosity. I just love to throw this at you both because I'm super curious about this. In the valuation of what love is, love does not seek its own. Love is not selfish, doesn't seek its own. That is a really interesting statement because we know where that comes from, the value of love. How do you maneuver that statement? Love doesn't seek its own. Love is not selfish without losing self. I'm so curious to hear how you maneuver that, because if that is the litmus test in the bar for the value system of love, a baby is crying in the middle of the night and needs its diaper changed, needs a bottle. Love does not seek its own. It's not selfish. I'm going to go care for that baby. How do we do that without losing self? I have a couple of ideas for me, but I'm so curious about how you maneuver that without losing self.
That's true, because like if you're to use the bottle analogy, the person's like, oh, I'm losing my sleep. I'm going to be up at 3 a.m. at 5 a.m. and everything. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose my sleep. But you are loving and serving because it's going to be a natural thing with love. Like you're going to, that's a tricky, because then you're selfish in your sleep. But I think there's things that you do that you don't feel like you're giving up anything because you love that baby and you're going to take care of that baby.
Yes.
It makes you just grow more in love by doing that. And if you're both, baby's a little different, baby's not going to turn around and do it back. But like, I think the more you give, the more you grow.
It's true. When you give to others, you build yourself. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I think we've had experience around this. I love cigars, right? She loves modeling.
I know.
Andy, oh,
Okay.
you tell him I'm never going to kiss you if you come at me with a cigar.
Oh, I won't. I won't.
No,
I still love
yeah.
him. He
Okay,
can have
but-
a cigar night.
Okay. But
But he
honoring
told me
this,
that at the very beginning, you know, and I'm like, "Ugh,
okay,
okay.
she has her modeling, very beautiful, and it's out there, and she has a love of that. I don't have the same love she does.
No.
I have cigars. She doesn't love the cigars.
I don't
right?
know. Cigars are kind of not healthy.
Okay. But
Don't
we're gonna
even
play with
ask
this.
me to get
Because you opened up the question, so we're all going to sit
We
with it.
did.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry,
So we're
Nick.
going to sit with it.
I'm with Andy.
So that is the disgust that comes up in people, that I have no tolerance for your cigars.
But so just so you know,
Yep.
10 out of my father's brothers and sisters, with the exception of one, all died from cancer from smoking.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it's pretty, and it's that for me. It's not judgment. It's
Got it.
sadness.
So
yeah. Anyways, yeah.
holding the space of love, which
We had
you
that
brought up
conversation.
here.
I'm like, but it's not good for your health.
If I die from cancer, then I die from cancer. Okay. I have
Get a life insurance policy, Andy, right now.
Okay. So you think about this love of honoring that in me, and me honoring that in her. I don't have the same love you do for that thing. I could also go in and say the same things you just did about cigars, about her modeling, right? But that's her modeling. That's her love. I want to honor that in her. That's very important to her. It's not up to me to take that away from her, right? I can say, look, here's evidence for this and this and this and this. I had a friend that used to model and she did this, right? Same thing. But love is, I can honor what's important to you without having to take that away. If I have to take it away, it's because usually I'm coming from a fear I have around what she might be doing, or a fear she has around what I might be doing, right? So love is being able to hold space for, and I think that you have a thing that I don't love the way you love it, and I want to hold space for it. I want to allow you the room to do that, to be that in your world, the way you allow me over here to do that, be that in my world, even though you don't have the love I have for it, right? We have differences there. And that's where I'm waking up to. This is what I perceived as a value in me around what she loves wasn't a value. It was my protectors pretending to be values, but I couldn't see that. Right. So it was really my fears speaking, not my love speaking, because my love would say, I know Andy, I know who she is. Right? I know what's important to her. I don't want to take that away from her.
Well, I hear that. I mean, I wrote this down. When we have reactions to other things that people might disagree with us on, or may not be right for us, we actually have a fear of a loss of self at that moment that needs to be explored deeper. Because why am I believing that I'm losing myself when someone else doesn't like this? Because if we are secure and anchored in ourself, we don't interpret it as a loss of self and need to fight for that identity. We just don't. It's just so peaceful inside. It's like, it just is what it is. But if we are reactive to it, if we have to make rules around it or lines around it, that sense, it is rooted in the belief that you're going to lose self. And that is a lie, because you are the manager of self. And if you are securely anchored inside, truly anchored inside, that has nothing to do with anybody else, there is no need to react with a fear of loss. But that's generally what it is. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose myself, I'm going to fight. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose myself, I'm going to put down a rule.
Pretty valid. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet, yet we have to say to ourselves, me too, this is my work I have to do. I'm not telling you anything that I'm not doing every single day, sometimes 10 times a day. Depends. But it's like, Candace, why do you think you're going to lose self? No one can touch you inside. What are you doing? This is not about him. It's not about them. It's about how peaceful you are with yourself inside. Your relationship with yourself is integrated. You're loyal to yourself. You're not selfish. You're identifying, this is me. I don't believe anyone can touch it. And because they can't. No one literally can have control over another person. You have to give it to them. You have to believe it in order for that to become true. So it's an illusion of loss of self.
Yeah, that's
It's
powerful.
you just not knowing who you are, and you need to fortify internally, not walls, but get curious about you and know that you can make your own safety. You make your own self safe. And that's really what it comes down to in the end. But I
Yeah.
love what you guys are doing. I love what you're doing. I love what you're offering. I love what you're offering. I think what I'm telling the whole world, do this mirrored AI journey. What do you say? What do you officially call it? So I'm
It's
screwing
called
it
the
up.
mirror.
The
It's
mirror.
called the mirror. Yeah, there's two of them. There's one called the mirror, which helps you to see it. And then there's one called the bridge, which helps you to detach from the narrative through awareness, acceptance, and narrative empowerment. And so it takes you and rewrites your inner narrative so that you actually become somebody different. And so the bridge is acceptance, actually. You have awareness, but most people don't accept that they're aware. They reject it. And so they fight it. And then they pretend to say there's something else while rejecting simultaneously what is. And so the bridge is in the AI world that I created is that it takes you through the awareness, it takes you through the acceptance, and it helps you rewrite in the more empowered I am form who your new narrative is. And as you practice that, that becomes your identity. And all change comes from who you are, not what you do. And so as you can change who you are, your behaviors will change in relation to that identity. And so the mirror helps you to see it. The bridge helps you to change it.
And you know what? I love that. And you know what the key to all of that is, which is the hardest part of all? Somebody has to want to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between people that succeed in progression forward and those that stay stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And that is the big thing because you can't touch human will.
No.
They have to
Any
want.
final thoughts from you? What are you hearing in all of this for you?
For me or Andy?
Andy, yeah.
I'm loving this. It's sad that we're over an hour now and we can continue on doing this, but it's true. Like people stay stuck where they're at because they're just not willing to. Some are, people are willing and to learn and grow, and then the others just don't even bother looking in that mirror.
They're afraid.
Yeah, they're afraid. Like, oh, what will happen? It's easier. It's easier to just kind of go and expect somebody else to do the work for them. So what I wish for more people to do is wake up with giants, wake up and watch these awesome podcasts. Take a look at unlockingsecrets.com, just explore, be curious. Like you said, be curious. And there's just a wealth of information out there. Just so many good things to help us grow. I wish that for more people.
I like that. Thank you. Candace, any final thoughts from you for the viewer? There are people watching, and if you want to speak to them directly, is there anything you're nudged to say?
Yeah, there's no judgment around people that don't do their work, but you want to say to them, like, you got one shot on this planet. You got one shot. I know fear is so powerful, but do it afraid anyways. Just try, love yourself enough to say, I'm worth it. And no one's going to define that worth for you. That's something you get the privilege of doing. It's not that you missed it. It's not that someone didn't give it to you. It's that it's a privilege you get to give to yourself. It's the best and most beautiful thing. Some people don't want to because they're afraid. It's like hiring a trainer and then watching him work out and not figure out how come you're not building muscles.
Yeah, that's weird.
What? It doesn't work like that?
I know. I hired a trainer and he looks fabulous. I haven't changed much.
I wonder this isn't working for me.
So true.
Literally.
Thank you so much. Just as a wrap up here, I'm going to turn these comments off. That's kind of a cool new feature. I think it'll take some getting used to. But the thing that makes this show so great is that we do get interaction. We get people that watch these, they'll comment after the fact, they'll share it. It's powerful because we're using our lives as the foundation for the journey. But we all go through this. The 12 journeys are engineered around this. It's all the inner work that we all have to do. We don't even have to do it. We can do as a possibility. And it's the same process. I tried to keep things empirical, scientific in most forms, but you can't help but have the spiritual in there and the philosophical. There's no way to get around it. Humans have been doing that from the beginning of time. So I incorporated everything, metaphor, parables, science. It is truly holistic because it hits every area of development all the way through to legacy. And so with the 12 journeys, it's an operating system. It's a way of seeing the world and seeing yourself in a different way. And that's where we start to change. And so I'd invite people to come check us out at my12journeys.com. You can read all about it there. And then make sure that you go see unlockingsecrets.com and your up and coming website, which I hope you'll share in the comments too.
Managing Me.
That seems like so logical, right? So go check that out.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here today. For everybody that's watching, thank you for being a part of this.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me. Love you guys. I'm proud of both of you, truly.
Thank you.
If you have breath, you're a gift, and the opportunity is there to have all that you want out of life, if you want it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Everybody go make it a giant day, and we will see you in the next video.